Hello and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Nicole Sellers, and today I am taking you behind the scenes with casting director Sean DeSimone. He has been casting talent for well over 2 decades. He's worked with TV hosts, brand spokespeople, influencers, content creators, you name it. He got his start many years ago in 2002 as a casting assistant during the initial boom of reality television, and soon quickly earned his stripes working on numerous non-scripted, formatted, and lifestyle shows for many of the major cable networks. In 2007, Sean launched Sean DeSimone Casting, working on sizzles, series, and pilots for networks, including, here we go, guys, the list is long: A&E, Animal Planet, BET, Bravo, Discovery, DYI, E, Food Network, Fuse, HGTV, History, Lifetime, MTV, Nat Geo, OWN, oh my gosh, I'm running out of breath, Oxygen, Spike, True TV, TLC, USA, and We, as well as various production companies in the US, Canada, and the UK. Sean is an expert in TV host and brand spokesperson casting, having worked extensively with QVC and Home Shopping Network, as well as numerous beauty, fashion, home, cook, and fitness brands. Hey, Sean, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? You are in Atlanta still?
I'm in Atlanta, yes. And are you in New York still?
I am in New York for the summer, and then I will go back to California in the fall, and then come back to New York. So it's sort of a bi-coastal situation these days.
Back and forth. That's a good thing, I think. It's good to take a little bit of a brain break, and then you come back to work, and then you got to leave everything.
Well, no, I'm always working.
Well, that's
Hopefully.
laptop life, right? It's like it just follows you
Knocking
everywhere.
on wood, I'm always working, but I think that's what we're talking about today, right?
It is. And I want you to tell our viewers and our listeners a little bit about your background, because you've been casting for over 2 decades in New York City and casting TV hosts, brand spokespeople. Share a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are today, because it has been a long road. Things have been changing and evolving, and you've been changing with the times, which is extremely admirable. So tell me where it all started. Back in 2002, I believe you started Sean DeSimone Casting. Is that right?
Oh, you remember the date before I do?
I do.
And a little side note before we get into it, it is always changing, and I think that is the interesting part of it all, and we must constantly be adapting, whether it's you all as talent or me as a casting director. It is important for all of us to sort of be in that space where we're like willing and able to adjust. It might not always be comfortable. We might fight it. Back in the day, well, we'll get into it later. But yeah, I've been casting TV hosts since day one. When I got into casting, I wanted to do the TV host thing. I searched it out. So I reached out to a friend of ours, Barbara Abel, and I worked with her for about 4 years or so. And since she was working in the TV host space, I was working in the TV host space. And that's what we did together for many years. And then I launched my own business. And although Barbara and I still work together, we collaborate on a ton of stuff together. We just taught this past weekend together. But so I launched my own business and stayed in the TV host space. And I worked for all of the networks and that we're familiar with, the HGTVs and Food and Style back then, and DIY back then, and now History and Nat Geo. I've done it all. So I cast TV hosts, experts, game show hosts, etc. But then what I'm sort of really kind of well known for is the home shopping space. So I work for Curate Retail Group as a client of mine, and Curate Retail Group owns QVC, HSN, as well as some shopping apps for millennials and Gen Zs. So I do I do all the host casting for QVC and HSN. I think between both networks since the beginning, I think I've maybe cast 65 hosts for them. It's about 65 hosts. Some have left, some are still there. People transition, yada, yada, yada. But obviously they don't have that many hosts on air, so not 65. All 65 hosts are on air currently. But throughout the years, I've cast about that many. I also work on other iterations of their businesses, like QVC Plus, which is their streaming channel. So I cast hosts for them. They have an app called Soon, which is a shopping app for Gen Z. I cast for them.
Can we pause for a second about the Gen Z? Like, talk to me about what that looks like, because with QVC and HSN, we know that demographic. But with Gen Z, what are you seeing that's different now as opposed to what we're used to seeing with HSN and QVC?
Well, I mean, because the host has to be the same demographic as the customer, right? So to sell to a younger customer, they're shopping differently. They're not shopping on linear television as much as the folks that we're used to having as their customer. So, excuse me, the younger customer is online on their phones shopping, so they launched a app specific to that. So casting for that was very interesting because everything that I kind of knew about casting home shopping hosts and experts. I also, PS by the way, work for a lot of brands that will hire me to find their guests to go on air and sell their product, and that's where a lot of expertise comes in, like fashion, beauty, home design, tech, health and wellness, etc. But when you're
So
casting
can we back up for a second on that? Because that's really, really important. A lot of our listeners are TV hosts or experts, and they're looking to break into the home shopping space, whether it's Gen Z or Gen X. I don't know how many boomers you have right now, but I mean, what does that look like? I mean, what does that process look like right now with the live streaming? How do they really get into that space? Are they just creating reels for themselves? Are they waiting for castings to submit themselves to? Do they need an agent? What does that look like to break into that space right now? Because I feel like there are a lot of home shopping platforms popping up all over the place.
there are so many, and I know a handful of them. I'm constantly discovering them because every time I get a submission or I audition somebody, they reference the shopping app that they're working on. I mean, there's TikTok has it. Is it Zappos has one? And then there's lots of versions of what I do for QVC or Curate Retail Group, which is theirs specifically, which is called Soon. There's various versions of that sort of go online, look at products, et cetera, et cetera. So what I find casting for the specific shopping app that I cast for is we are looking for people who the customer can get familiar with, which is the same sort of what makes QVC and HSN so successful is you know who these hosts are for many years. You come back to them, you tune in to their show because you want to shop with them specifically. It's like that's your, oh wow, Nicole's going to be on, Monday at 11 a.m. That's when I'm going to tune in. That's when you're watching your traditional. But for the shopping apps, it's the same thing. And I can only really speak towards the ones that I cast for, where what I'm really known for and what I do really well is to find like matches. Like I'm looking for hosts, brand experts, guests, brand ambassadors, etc., who are like looking to sort of work with a company where they can be like a familiar face over and over again, and people who can really attach and connect to selling and products for a long period of time. Versus like a lot of these sort of quick apps and these morning shows, which I always steer people towards like the morning show stuff. But if you're going to go on a morning show, like a View or Sherry, and you're going to talk about back to school trends, and you're going to have a table with 5-6 products, and you have to get through all of those products in 5-6 minutes, right? Or you actually don't get paid from the product. You have to get through it, do what you're supposed to do, and then move on. So you're not really like connecting to the product so much. Where in the space that I work in, and the apps that I work for, it's about like digging deep and spending time with something and really explaining how it works. So what I'm looking for in that space is somebody who can talk for a really long period of time versus somebody who can just go, 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 go. Like somebody who can like lean in and allow the shopper or the viewer to connect. So all of these hosts that I cast for Soon, they're really awesome, and they come from a whole different world where they can like do things on their phone a lot quicker. They can create content a lot quicker. They know how things like it's just a very different space that they live in. I mean, at least for me. I mean, I'm Gen X like to a T. I find that the millennial hosts are pretty savvy too. Not saying that Gen Z hosts aren't savvy, but yeah, I mean Gen X hosts aren't savvy, but we just come from a completely different world. I mean, I'm in shock when I see what people can do that I never was doing at that age.
Yeah, well, I'm Gen X too, and I feel like we're in that spot where we had to learn things to keep up with the trends. And I feel like we're doing a good job. But yeah, like you said, Gen Z is just so fast on their phone. I feel like in 30 seconds, 1 minute, like their attention's gone. So we are consuming content a lot differently. How does that audition process go, one versus the other? Is it a different process for both of them?
Same process for me, because for me it's all about, and lots of casting directors who cast TV hosts, it's all about getting to know the person, because we can teach you how to, the person that you're going to go hire, go work for, like my client, they're going to teach you how to do the job. I don't work there. I'm not going to teach you how to do the job. My goal is to find people and to cast people and hosts who those clients can then work with, and they'll teach them everything they need to do. So my audition process doesn't get so nitpicky on what you think you're in the room for, if that makes sense. Like
It
for
does. So are
me,
you looking for specific skills or personality overall?
personality trumps everything. I think I'm learning that certain clients are requiring certain skill sets, and maybe that's something that I have to pay attention to here and there. Like, we would love if they, also know how to shoot and edit and da 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 da. But like, that's not like a, if you can't do it, I'm not interested for me. Because to me, at the end of the day, I'm always going to push to get to the person is more important than anything else, right? Like we have to really connect with you. You have to be really outgoing. You have to be able to talk about stuff for a really long period of time. You have to have a passion for it. Again, like I can't make you love. Okay, so we're talking about how are hosts, what are other opportunities for hosts to make money, okay, or to derive in income, right? I don't,
Right.
I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong on what we're like how you want to phrase that.
Yeah,
But
definitely just monetizing their craft and their
monetizing, that's the
skills.
word
Yeah.
I'm looking for. So we're talking about monetizing. So yes, the home shopping space and working with brands, and especially on apps, is a thing. But at the end of the day, you have to like it, and you have to really, really be interested in products. You have to be that person that walks in the room and wants to start talking right away. You have to be that person who, gets really excited about sharing information, or they found something that they bought and they love it and it fits into their lives and it makes it really their lives easier, and you want to let other people know that. I know that sounds like easy enough, but there are people who don't love that, so like they would not be ones to go into that space.
I understand. So, what's a really good exercise that somebody could do to practice for those types of auditions? Would it be to just pick up a product and just start sharing how it's changed their life, or how it has simplified their daily routine, or why they love the product? Because it's not necessarily rattling off all the features of the product, it's really storytelling,
It's
essentially.
all storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah, the features of the products come later. And you had said to prepare for auditions. The features of the products comes to when you actually get the job and you're going on air. That's another takeaway here, is the audition process is not being on TV. And I think that's where a lot of people get hung up, right? They come in the room thinking that they have to show you how they will be when they are on air, and we don't want that. So if we're talking about audition process, I don't need features and benefits. I don't need prices. I don't need how many are left. But like I have seen reels come into me, and I mean reels now because people are sending me Instagram reels come into me where they're like, they're doing a haul at TJ Maxx, or in
I
the
love that.
fall.
And back up, when you just said they're sending you Instagram reels, I see
Yeah.
this is what I mean about the evolution, and it's changing so quickly. I mean, back in the day, not too long ago, we were hiring production companies to
Yeah.
shoot 2-minute reels for us. And we would spend a day on a production set or running around from location to location. And now you're seeing more and more social media type reels. What are you seeing
Well,
now that's different?
so to answer the question, the days of a production company and a full day on set could still happen. I still do that for clients. I just shot a reel in June, and we shot 3 locations. One was her house, one was downstairs from her house at a coffee shop, and one was in the theater district in New York City. And we did it in about 4 or 5 hours, and it's just like a camera, one person. It's not a huge crew, and that will be cut into maybe a minute. So what I want to talk about is, like, you could still do the bells and whistles if you want them, but it doesn't need to be 3 minutes long. And like if a minute is great. So you want to get great content, and you want to get things that you are really passionate about. So I'll give you an example. When we shot with the client, we did a needle pointing segment because she loves needle pointing. We went to her favorite coffee shop where she got her favorite donut, which happened to be downstairs. And she's a theater gal, so we went to the theater district. So, like, great. So you can get everything that you need if you love it, which brings us back to only apply for the jobs and audition for the jobs that you love and you think you can do with heart, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm all about the production. Trust me, I've had people produce my reel for many years, and I find it's actually less stressful to put that in someone else's hands, if at all possible, because your focus is bringing out your most authentic self and also being more comfortable kind of just doing your thing and not worrying about the production and the lighting and the sound, because once you start adding that stuff into the mix, it can get very stressful. So I'm all about if I can hire someone to do it, that's great.
yeah, but you were referencing the Instagram reels and the socials. So yes, like, I'm happy to look at a clip on your social if you direct me to it. Like, don't just give me your Instagram and say scroll through. I can't do that. But you can go to that clip specifically and send me that hyperlink specifically. I'm happy to watch anything you want to show me in any form that you can, except to download it. That's the only thing that gets a little complicated. And, because everybody's operating systems are different, and some people don't have malware or whatever it might be, and you don't know what you're downloading. So, like, always stay away from anything that has to be downloaded when you're sharing with a cast director or talent executives. But yes, like, there's so much leadway in how you can express to the person that you're submitting to why you're interested in the job and show them your skill sets. I always tell people you can shoot anything on your phone. I made a whole movie last year on my phone. I shot a whole documentary last summer on this phone. So, how it's going to look, I don't know, because I haven't started editing it. But
Hey, if it's in 4K, I'm sure it looks beautiful.
it's
Yeah.
not in 4K. No, I didn't do 4K.
Oh, okay.
I mean, what I'm saying is you can get a lot done. Like, nothing has to look like a Scorsese film. It doesn't. But you want to just show off the best you possible, and however you're going to do that is totally fine.
Now, let me ask you this. Working behind the scenes with brands, are they looking for someone with a really large following? Does it matter? Or is it more so personality trumps followers? Where does that kind of intersect?
It is so case by case, not one size fits all, right? So I have worked with brands who want the whole shebang. I want someone to come because we would love to have their followers as well, and then we're gonna put them in stores as well as on TV, and they're gonna do our social, and they're gonna educate. They're gonna go into and they want all of that. They want that following, and then some. They just want them to be sort of like fresh and new for that brand, so they don't want someone coming with all of this other, because what comes with a lot of followers. And again, I'm not like super social media like guy. Like, I don't know a ton about the inner workings of why networks or clients want numbers and don't. But, like, what comes with a lot of numbers is you're already pushing a lot of other brands, right? Like, I had someone who emailed me the other day who I was interested in. And then when I went on her, I was like, okay, you're also pushing this beauty brand and that beauty brand and this beauty brand and that. So that's not going to work for my other beauty brand on QVC because they don't. So you see what I'm saying? And some,
Yeah, it can get a lot. It can get very diluted.
it can get really diluted.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm also stressing about what we're looking for. When you ask what we're looking for people to connect to something. And if you're, and again, I have no problem with people who have 25 brand deals, but when you have 25 brand deals, your focus is on 25 things. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if you are the person who really just wants to be in that space where, your socials are all about, having 25 brand deals, that's great. But if you're not that person, then you're want to just, latch onto one brand for a really long period of time. That's great. Like, you have to really make sure. I guess that's an interesting conversation to have because a lot of people are not really aware of that. Like, everyone's like coming to you with, I have all these numbers, I have all these followers, I work for this brand, this brand, this brand, this brand. For me, it's sort of like, oh, well, I don't know if I can use you because my brand wants somebody to be specific to their brand.
Yeah, it sounds like a conflict, a lot of
It
conflicts,
depends.
though.
No, but it depends. But some people might not care. Some brands are like, you know what? We're only going to do 5 hits a year on QVC, or 1 hit a year, 2, 3, and then 2 hits on HSN. So we'd rather you come with the audience, and that to us is more important than the fact that you already have a few other brands attached. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, no, there's not one size fits all.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I think a lot of our viewers are curious about pay scale. What does that look like when you get to the bigger leagues with an HSN or QVC? And are you seeing hosts and brand spokespeople get more working with brands?
There's no, I get this question all the time. I have no idea I know what my brand will tell me that I can start with posting a breakdown. It changes constantly and they negotiate. And at the end of the day, I have no idea what they're making. And like on a shopping app, every app is different. I don't know, the app that I work for is a day rate, right? But the app that somebody else might work for might not even get a day rate. They might just get a percentage of the sales. I don't know. You know what I mean?
So all the deals are different.
All the deals are different. And then if we're talking about like working in a home shopping channel specifically for a brand, everything from 300 to 3,000.
Yeah.
I mean, there really is. Every brand is different. Some brands are bigger than others. Some brands are going to be on air 25 times a year. Some are only going to be on air 4 times a year. Like, there's no rate sheet.
Yeah.
And it gets confusing and it gets challenging for me because people come to me all the time with the question. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, you should do your research and see and how learn all about everything that you can know about this brand. And if you want to start negotiating. But like, it's everywhere from $300 a hit to $3,000-$4,000+ a hit. Some get a percentage of sales, some don't. It really is case by case. I wish I had the answer.
Now, I'm curious about where influencers come in. So there's hosts, there's brand spokespeople, there's influencers, and now there's UGC creators, right? User-generated content creators. They all kind of intercept. And I'm curious, like, are you seeing titles being thrown around that now they're more content creators as opposed to hosts and spokespeople?
The titles. I can't with the titles. I have called something, and then it wasn't that something anymore. And then I saw that it was that something again. Oh, it's not a host. Oh, it's not a content creator. Oh, we want a content creator. Like, what do you want? It's like...
It's talent. Can we just call it talent?
Well, yeah. A content creator, a host, an influencer, to me, again, people are getting really, 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 really weird with calling things what they are and what they aren't these days. A host is a host, a news reporter is a news reporter. They're very different things. Is an influencer also a content creator? Probably, because I don't know one influencer that doesn't know how to shoot and edit. Or maybe they don't. I don't know. listen, I mean, are they in the Wikipedias? Are they in Webster dictionaries? Is like
No
influencer
idea.
in the,
I
you know
know.
what I mean?
I mean, things are changing because I every so often will go on Fiverr and Upwork, and I'm like curious, like what the keywords are and what people are searching, and I'm like kind of into data and analytics, and I see UGC creators, TV hosts,
Well,
TV presenters, spokespeople.
UGC basically is really advertising based, from what I understand. Like the brand hires you to feel like you're at home, feel like you're just discovering this, and oh my gosh, I want to share this with you. Where, as an influencer, from my understanding, has a following, right? I don't know if UGC is following because like then that lives somewhere else. Do you see what I'm saying? Like when I
Yes.
see castings,
Hmm.
the video that you create at home that you generated as a user then goes to them and they decide what they want to do with it. Whereas an influencer, you're sort of managing your whole entire perception. Like you have complete control over your feed, right? In your profile and your pages. Whereas I think with UGC, you give it over to whoever hired you to do it, and that's that.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And, we have a few minutes left. I wanted to kind of backtrack to where you got started. And a lot of people in this industry get very discouraged because it's a hustle based business. We're always hustling from one job to the next, always putting new reels together. And sometimes it feels like a very unforgiving business. How did you really navigate the business for so many years and kind of just change with the times? And how did you get there? Because you've been casting for so many years, but it started with the HGTVs and the Bravos and all that. Then you went to home shopping. Did you feel like you needed to switch into something more sub niche to really,
No,
I
no,
guess?
no, no, no. It was literally just to touch base a little bit on like how things have changed. So just when I by the way still do all the Bravos and the HGTVs and the Food Networks and the Histories and the A&Es still are my clients. Um, I just happen to also have a big uh, amount of my year is in home shopping because of the networks themselves, but also the brands. When I'm not casting for the networks, I also cast for the brands separately, and that keeps me busy. So, knocking on wood. But back in the day, like I was faxing and posting flyers at train stations to generate interest.
Oh my God, I
Okay.
love it. Yeah.
I was faxing and I was literally picking up boxes and boxes and boxes of VHS tapes. Okay, so obviously that's changed, and
I was I
even
was
when
schlepping beta tapes. Were you ever doing beta tapes?
no, 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 I'm talking about like when people were sending me reels. But when I first started working for QVC in 2008, I had all along the wall, I had milk crates, and each milk crate had a post-it on it that said South, West Coast, East Coast, and then it would get even more specific, cities, and I would have boxes of like DVDs and VHS tapes and mini DV tapes to watch. Obviously, everybody's sending a link these days, so that has changed the game. Um, but yeah, so you just sort of adapt to the industry, either if you're talent or if you're casting, the same way you adapt to the change in life. I mean, you're not calling somebody on a rotary phone anymore. I mean, there's lots of grandmoms out there that have iPhones. It's like that just naturally happens. And
Yeah.
listen, when things get introduced, we complain about it. Oh god, I gotta upload something. Oh, I could. It's better than faxing, right?
The fax machine.
Yeah, I mean seriously. So the adapting part I think just comes naturally, right? But the way I got into home shopping space, it's not like I said, oh, you know what, everybody else is doing basic cable, I'm gonna go. I happen to have interviewed for the opportunity along with some other folks, and for some reason we clicked. And it was a trial. It was like, let's try finding a host, because they weren't using casting directors at the time. They were using internal sources and human resources, etc. Let's try this. And this, I don't know, 65 hosts, 17, 16 years later, I'm still doing it. But
Well,
a
this is
lot
a
of
very
things
relationship-based business, and I think that a
are
lot of our
relationship based.
listeners and our viewers need to know
But our
that.
relationship,
Yeah.
you and I have a relationship. I mean, I forget how we know each other, but I remember talking to you maybe like 3 years ago. I think you
Yeah, it was
called
3 years
me.
ago during the pandemic. Yep.
You called me for something, and of course, you're going to be podcasting with my colleagues in a few weeks. Like we all know each other,
Yeah. And
you
I,
know.
I,
And
I
the thing is, we
stress that
share.
all the time. Relationships and authentic relationships. And I hate using that word over and over again, but it's
No, no,
real,
no. It's
genuine
100% right. It's
relationships.
100% right. Like I got a email, two emails, I think. So I did a workshop this weekend, and just the emails that the responses that I get when people like leave an audition from me, or if we do some coaching, it's like to me, it's amazing. Like it's authentic relationships. Like I'm not here to be like mean
Yeah, and it's
or
always, important to realize don't always make it about your needs and what you want and like that to me I find very it's just a big turnoff. It's very like tacky, and it's like when you get those DMs or those emails of kind of like a what can you do for me? I come from a place personally of how can I serve, or how can I help, or how can we collaborate, and how can we become a team? Because when you are in that mindset, the abundance comes because you're all working together. I always have that collaboration over competition all the time. And I think years ago, hosts always had in their head that there was always so much competition. So they couldn't say like what they were auditioning for, or who, they were meeting up for coffee with. And I think the game has changed so much that now we're all a support system for each other. And I think that's the
well,
number one
yeah, I
piece,
mean,
really,
that's where
relationships.
also social media becomes in handy because we all have these groups, right? I have my casting group on Facebook. I have my Instagram casting page. And I got to tell you something. I'll put out a breakdown. I'll get thousands of submissions, but it's hard to get through thousands of submissions unless take the time to share some information with me. But a lot of my if I was to say, great, how did you find out about the project? They're like, oh, I saw it on your Facebook page, or oh, Nicole posted it in her group, or Barbara shared it in her group, or this one or that. It's all sharing and relationship based. I mean, as you know, Barbara shares my castings, I share hers, you share my castings, host in LA shares my castings. Like nobody's like gatekeeping around here
Yeah.
because our job is to know who people are. And guess what, Nicole? You are not going to be right for every single casting that I'm doing. You are not right.
100%.
You are
Yeah.
not right for soon. You're not.
Yeah.
But you're certainly excited about it because you work in the space. And boy, would you love someone that you know to get this job.
Yeah.
Right?
I love that that we all share castings for each other, because there are so many times in a week that I will hear of an opportunity and I will say, I know the perfect person for that. Or
Oh, I
like,
have people that I've put on QVC that I met through you. I have
I
people
know,
that I
I
like.
love
Yeah,
that
I mean,
story.
yeah, of course. Like that's what we do. That's what we do is we share. What was where are we going from this question? What was the original question? I want to make sure I answered the
I have
original
no
question.
idea. We're just wrapping. But I want to wrap up with a couple of tips for up and comers who are looking to either work with brands or getting into home shopping. What are the three things that they should have on standby right now?
Meaning,
Meaning marketing materials, website.
okay.
How important is a website? Do we even need one anymore? Because now they just have like link trees and
I
social
like
pages.
a link tree is a pain in the butt. I mean, it's nice if everything's on one page, on one pretty platform. A website to me is like, yes. Like everybody has websites. Every business has a website. Everything is website based. So I would like a website only because it's just easier for me to watch one reel of all of your fun's favorite things. Oh, and by the way, let's just touch base. By the way, reels are perishable. Your reel is constantly changing because guess what? You went to see Beyonce this weekend in New York City and you had your iPhone with you and you got all this great footage like in the parking lot talking to people, yada yada yada. So boot the cupcake tasting that you did 3 years ago, and you don't even look the same anymore, and put on the Beyonce stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's constantly changing. So
I love that you said that. I'm sorry to interrupt. I love that you said that because I think the misconception is that everything has to be so professionally produced and it has to be perfect. Not at all.
Life isn't perfect. Oh, and by the way, hosts are not supposed to be perfect.
Yeah.
Like, I preach this. Like, a perfect host equals boring. Okay, so life isn't perfect. Hosts are not supposed to be perfect. A perfect, polished host is basically a robot, and we're not looking for that. We're looking for humanity. So yes, your reel should be cute and like entertaining, and we want to watch it. But like, I think I don't want to make sure that people are not like just throwing up crap, if you will. But I think what we're saying is it doesn't need to be
perfect
and
polished.
So yes, we're looking for decent materials. Here's the deal: at the end of the day, a TV host is on TV or on an app, and we need to see you. So I get a lot of emails that saying, "Hey, Sean, my name is da-da-da. I would love to be your host." Blah 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 blah. Nothing, no photo, no video, no social media, and I have to write back very nicely and say, "Great. Is there anything that you can please share with me? What would you like me to share with you?" Okay. I would like to see a reel if you have one. If you don't have one, I would love to see some social media, because I can scroll through your social media quick enough and look for the little icon that has the movies, the little arrow thing that I know you're going to be talking in that one.
You mean reels?
Oh, by the way, make sure if you are sharing reels, there's a lot of times where like things don't, no one's speaking, right? Like they're like showing off an outfit and there's all this music, but I have to see you speak. I have to see you speak. I have to hear you speak, right? Hear you speak, see you speak. But I have to get that visual, right? So a website is great, yes. Socials for sure. And I don't mean socials because I want to see how many numbers you have. I just mean everybody posts on their social media, and everybody posts them hanging out with their girlfriends at brunch. Like, if there's any way I can get to see you, it's imperative that I get to see you. You do need photos. Anything, even sometimes, like a lot of TV hosts come from the commercial space. I'm totally cool with a commercial reel because I can see.
I love that you said that. Commercial reels and professional headshots. So we have to specify professional headshots, not selfies.
I'm going to go in the middle there. I don't. If you if you can't go hire somebody to do a $500 package, $500 package for you of headshots, fine. I don't want this. But if you have something in the middle, it's okay.
Okay, good to know. There is a really good service called Snapper that I always talk about, that for $150 you can get them to come out for an hour. They're like kind of like the Uber of photographers. Yeah.
Do it. Because you don't need a ton, right? Yep. But like, the 3 hosts that I just recently hired for a specific network, all 3 of them were not traditional trajectory hosts. They were great personalities at the end of the day. And we found out they were great personalities through the casting process. So understanding it's a process. But to get in the door, did they have a $3,000, 4-minute, highly produced host reel? Absolutely not. Did they have things that intrigued me? Whether it's like, "Hey, Sean, here's a few clips from my Instagram reels. Here's a photo." And I happen to have done, a In-N-Out commercial 3 years ago. I know it's not relevant, but at least you can see what I look like and how I present. So like, I cobble things together when I'm watching. I mean, I'm watching things in a sort of cobbled way, right?
So the takeaway is really just, we want to see your personality. We want to see you talking, and we want to see your personality.
I need to know who you
overly polished or overproduced.
I need to know who you are, and like 4 sentences in the email that have no visual attached is a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. Perfectly
anything. Said. Yeah. I mean, I think the easiest way to do it these days is share social media. And it's Instagram and it's TikTok, because that's the Facebook doesn't really tell you much anymore. I mean, I like Facebook because I'm Gen X, right? And that's how we stay in touch. Our generation stays in touch via Facebook because we don't have each other's phone numbers anymore. Everybody's moved to different cities and they're all raising children or whatever they're doing. And, that's sort of like our phone book these days, at least for people my age, but if I'm going to, need to get a sense of you, I need to see an Instagram or a TikTok or something, or I probably don't, there's more that I probably don't even know about.
Yeah. And as we start to wrap up our conversation, is there anything that you want to share with anyone that is coming up, or anything that you think is relevant to the conversation with regard to casting or monetizing your content? Anything that we haven't covered?
No, I mean, I think we did a nice job. I always tell people just keep doing it, but do it only if it makes sense for you and you love it, and only submit for things that you are right for. Because then you're starting to submit for things, and even though you're not right for it, and then the answer is no, and then that's just one more check for no. Yeah. You're just checking off no's because you're submitting for everything that you're not right for. So really pay attention.
First impressions matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
They certainly matter. So,
and then as far as like what I'm working on, like always just check out my my Instagram or my Facebook, my LinkedIn.
Yes, please share all those with us. Yes, where can we find you?
Facebook is Sean DeSimone Casting. I like that group because it's like the most active. There's a lot of people in it. And then I can like post even fun things like my favorite TV shows, or my God, did you see last night's episode of so-and-so? That's like fun. And then I also share castings. Instagram is Sean_DeSimone_casting. And that's where I post my castings. I also have a group on LinkedIn, which is Sean DeSimone Casting on LinkedIn. I do have the Twitter, if it's still a thing.
The Twitter. You still have the Twitter.
If it's a thing, I'm on it. It's at DeSimone Casting, but I haven't been on it in a hot minute. But check out your group, check out everyone else's groups, because we share, right?
We do. We share. Sean, thank you so much for joining me. I love our chats always, and I hope you come back.
Yes. It was awesome. I enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean.